The Tolkien Road, Episode 54, The Silmarillion, Chapter 21, of Túrin Turambar, Part 2. Alright, go ahead. The Tolkien Road, 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 Hey there, fellow travelers. Welcome to the Tolkien Road, a long walk through the works and philosophy of J.R.R. Tolkien. On this episode, we continue discussing Chapter 21 of the Silmarillion, of Túrin Turambar. It's a pretty tragic tale, only slightly more depressing than the current election cycle. If you like that bit of topical humor, then leave us a rating and feedback on iTunes. Heck, even if you didn't, leave us a rating anyway. It's easy to do, only takes a moment, and is the best way to show your appreciation for what we're doing here. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, it's John here. Welcome to the Tolkien Road. Greta, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Welcome to the Tolkien Road.
Thanks, good to be here.
Yeah, good.
Continuing on the journey.
Continuing the never-ending journey that is the Tolkien Road. The road goes ever on. That's our motto.
That's right. It does.
Yeah. I came up with that, by the way.
I know, you're such a genius.
Genius.
Man, you should coin that and make tons of money.
Yeah. Let's turn it into a song. Put it into a movie. Something like that, you know?
A movie, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Good. All right. Yeah. Well, that's a wrap. Good episode, Greta.
Off to a smashing start.
All right.
Again.
Of Túrin Turambar, Part 2.
Yes.
So picking up where we left off last time. Túrin Turambar is a long chapter.
It is a very long chapter. It's longer than Beren and Luthien. Yes?
Well, let's just compare in the old table of contents here and see. I feel like Beren and Luthien may be a little bit longer,
really?
But let's check here. So Beren and Luthien starts on page 162 and ends on page 188. So that's 26 pages. Túrin Turambar begins on 198 and ends on page 227. So that's 29 pages.
So I was right.
No, you're right.
By a page. Huh? No, 3 pages.
Give yourself a high five.
High five? I can't. I'm holding my tea.
No, darn.
I'll give myself a pat on the back instead.
All right. Well, I know I told you there weren't any haikus. We didn't have to write haikus this time, but we're still going to do haiku time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you know why?
Because our episode is completely lame, boring, and useless without the theme song.
Well, no, because Josh sent in some haiku.
Josh!
Yeah.
He's back!
Yeah.
Awesome. Welcome back, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we're playing it just for him.
Special episode of haiku time just for Josh.
Just for Josh.
That's right.
That should become a segment, just for Josh.
Just for Josh.
Just for Josh.
Just because it has alliteration in it?
Yes, exactly.
Right on. All right. He actually sent 2. So
awesome.
Just, let's just do paper, rock, scissors just to decide which one we're going to do first. So
okay, so I take the second.
You'll take the second, and I'll take the first.
Take the first,
right.
Yep.
Paper, rock, scissors, shoot.
Ah!
Wait, so
you get to...
So we go first. So number 1 goes first.
Number 1 goes first.
All right.
Okay. Keeping it real.
Túrin, Húrin's son, bloodstained, secret, man-elf 1, bane of Drake, Glaurung.
It had lots of monosyllabic words in it.
Monosyllabic.
Is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. I like syllabic better.
Monosyllabic.
It sounds like the root word more.
That actually might be right. I might have been saying it wrong all these years.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But can you read it again?
Túrin, Húrin's son, bloodstained, secret, man-elf 1, bane of Drake, Glaurung.
Alright, there's actually not monosyllabic words. You just read it weird. Like all choppy. No, you're weird.
Well, why don't you read the next one then?
You
know what I liked about that one is that he used the word Drake. I like that word for talking about dragons. Drake.
Well, I thought it was a name.
No. Well, it can be, but, you know.
It's a restaurant named Drake's.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? When it's not a restaurant, what does it mean? What does Drake mean?
It's dragon.
Oh, it's dragon.
Yeah.
What's the...
It's another word for dragon.
Is it from a particular country of origin?
I mean, I think it's, like English.
Like British English?
Well, like English.
Like Tolkien English?
Just English.
Well, I've never heard
archaic.
it before.
It's just an archaic term.
Oh, it's like Canterbury Tales type era stuff.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I've never heard of dragon.
We really need to have that language episode because...
The daughter of a linguist. I'm sorry, Daddy.
You're about to call Shakespeare Old English on me, and then I'm just going to be like...
Wait. Isn't Shakespeare Old English? Haha, just kidding.
Her. There you go, read number 2.
All right. Tragic hero gone. Túrin to wait in Mandos to deal evil death. Ooh, that's dark. To deal evil
Much like the chapter.
Death. Yeah, that. So people in Mandos can deal, they can deal evil death. My brain's not working. I'm sorry,
Obviously.
listeners. I'm just a mess tonight.
Tragic hero gone. Túrin to wait in Mandos to deal evil death.
To deal evil death.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean he's going to deal out evil deaths?
That's an interesting one. Túrin to wait in Mandos to deal evil death. Did it talk in this chapter about Túrin waiting in Mandos?
I don't think so. It talks about him dying. Well, that's where all the elves go, though. Wait. Where do the elves go when they die?
To Mandos.
Yeah.
But Túrin's a man, right?
Oh, that's right. Ooh, is that a spoiler?
It may be, yeah. I'm trying to remember back to when I read through it.
I don't think it did mention Mandos. I feel like I would remember that.
This leads us in. Josh, it's awesome to have you back. And,
yes, thank you, dude.
But just FYI, you got lucky this time. This was 2 parts, so try and make it on to the next one, in time for the next chapter. Because I don't think we're going to be doing any more 2-part episodes.
Right.
Because the next 3 chapters are pretty short. So, but, hey, if you want to send them in late, that's fine too. It's no big deal. So.
But set your Google reminder anyway.
Yeah. But don't let it happen again. Seriously. But it's okay. But really.
I'm confused.
I
think we need to move on.
Obviously, you are. When are you not confused?
I know, am I not confused? True story. No, I don't think it mentioned Túrin waiting in Mandos in this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But they were both lovely. I dig them.
Túrin to wait, and what was that? I was going to say something.
You said it.
I had something really profound to say.
Really?
It was like the meaning of life. I had an inspiration, a sudden fit of inspiration, and I was going to reveal the meaning of life, but gone. I can't remember.
I'm sure it'll come to you when you're not trying to think of it.
Right after we stop the episode.
Yep. So there's a lot to talk about in the second half.
Okay, well,
so let's stop
moving.
jibber jabbering and talking nonsense and get going.
Right.
I was thinking maybe I should lead the discussion on this part of the chapter.
Go ahead.
It's kind of right up my alley.
Be my guest. I didn't want to lead it anyway. It's right up your alley.
It's right up my alley. All kinds of drama and craziness, and this is my kind of literature right here.
Okay, you like the you like the tragedy and.
I like the tragedy and the love, the doomed love, like Romeo and Juliet. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Except this is kind of creepy, doomed love, because it's brother and sister.
Yeah, that is actually kind of creepy.
Yeah. But there is the whole thing with Finduilas.
Yeah, that I did not get at all.
Well, let's talk about it.
Well, then maybe you should lead because
No, you already called it.
But I've done no preparation.
You said you were going to lead.
I said maybe I should. I was thinking that I should.
I want you to lead.
I don't know. That's a good
I want
idea.
you to lead more often. I feel like I talk too much.
You do,
I
and
feel like,
you read too much of the chapter.
I feel like you're more likable than I am, and the people want to hear from you more than they want to hear from me.
Aw, thank you.
That's
for
fine
that
with me.
ego boost.
It's fine with me that having to. That means I have to
Okay, well, if I start to really roll off the tracks and am doomed rolling fast down a runaway truck ramp with no hope of righting the train.
Yeah.
You need to take over. You need to take the wheel.
Right.
Okay? All right.
You got it.
All right. So, of Túrin and Turambar, part 2.
Of Túrin Turambar, not of Túrin and Turambar.
All right, sorry.
off to a smashing start, Greta.
I was thinking...
Good old Túrin and Turambar.
Oh.
A love triangle.
That's not what this is? Oh, man, forget it. I'm not interested. I was thinking of Baron and Luthan. That's what I was thinking of. I just inserted and. All right, so part 2 of Túrin Turambar. We last left off where he had done something that he will probably never be able to live down. Mm-hmm. Right? He killed his BFF.
Yeah.
Not that he did it on purpose. He didn't do it.
Baeleg Strongbow.
Yes. And it was in Túrin's defense, it was dark, it was foggy. He had been tortured by orcs. Mm-hmm. The chances of Baeleg showing up slim to none. Right? Mm-hmm. So when he was was kind of grabbed and felt something chip at his ankle. Mm-hmm. So he panicked. Yeah. And he killed his friend.
Yeah.
And he fell into a deep, deep depression, as is completely expected.
Yep.
And this guy, Gwyndor, is with him, right? Gwyndor, son of Gwylin.
I better open up my book.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't already. So anyway, this elf is with him, Gwyndor, who's from Nargothrond. And he's been with him on this part of the journey.
That is correct.
And if it weren't for Gwyndor, I think Túrin probably would have just laid down and died himself. But yeah. Gwyndor basically is like, look, dude, this sucks, but you gotta move on. Let's bury your friend, and then let's go to Nargothrond, because we need to, Morgoth is still out there, and we need to do something.
And that's where Gwyndor's from, too, is Nargothrond.
It's Nargothrond, right. Yes.
He's trying to get back to Nargothrond.
He's trying to get back to Nargothrond. So they go. They go to Nargothrond. And they arrive in Nargothrond, and this is where Finduilas comes into the picture. She's the daughter of Ordreth, the king.
How do you say that?
Finduilas.
I think it's Finduilas.
Finduilas, that's prettier. I like that. Okay, Finduilas, the daughter of Ordreth, the king of Nargothrond. Right? And she loved... Who did she love?
She loved Túrin.
She loved Túrin. We have heard her name before. Right? There was a prophecy that involved her, right? Wasn't there?
I know not to which prophecy you prefer.
I thought there was some kind of thing about Túrin's doom and Finduilas, or what's it in?
Finduilas.
Finduilas. That maybe Melion said something about, maybe it's in this chapter and I'm forgetting it. But anyway, we know that she loves Túrin.
Yeah.
And she's in Nargothrond.
Right.
And so she was happy when Túrin came to Nargothrond. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she looks on him as, Túrin, for being a man, is like, even among elves, he cuts a fine figure, you know? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's pretty impressive. He's a pretty impressive fella.
For a man.
And, not only for man, but even among men, right?
Right.
They call him. It says, therefore many called him Adonithel, the elf man. Adonithel, the elf man.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And actually, he's going by a secret identity here while he's in Nargothrond.
He doesn't want to give his real name
because he doesn't want people to know who he really is.
Right.
He doesn't want word to spread of the fact that he's here because he knows that Túrin is captured, and he doesn't want his mother and his sister to suffer any. So
right.
Finduilas loves him and takes a liking to him, and Gwyndor has to take her aside and say, "Daughter of the house of Finarfin, let no grief lie between us. For though Morgoth has laid my life in ruin, you still I love. Go whither love leads you. Yet beware, it is not fitting that the elder children of Iluvatar should wed with the younger. Nor is it wise, for they are brief and soon pass, to leave us in widowhood while the world lasts. Neither will fate suffer it, unless it be once or twice only, for some high cause of doom that we do not perceive. But this man is not barren. A doom indeed lies on him, as seeing eyes well read in him, but a dark doom. As seeing eyes may well read in him, but a dark doom. Enter not into it. And if you will, your love shall betray you to bitterness and death. For hearken to me, though he be indeed a Glaurung, son of Umarth, his right name is Túrin, son of Húrin, whom Morgoth holds in Angband, and whose kin he has cursed. Doubt not the power of Morgoth Boglir. Is it not written in me?" And so, Gwyndor reveals his secret identity to Finduilas. Yeah.
But Finduilas knew him before he arrived, right? Or not?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So it's just like a love at first sight thing,
right?
For her.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Túrin's kind of a heartbreaker,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I really thought there was something about her though, that someone prophesied basically saying that like the key to Túrin's existence lied, but maybe I jumped that.
Well, there are some later things. Maybe we'll come upon it. I mean, this is a dense chapter, right? There's lots of stuff going in here.
Okay, so it's after this, you think?
But there's something...
I remember now.
Well, I don't know.
We haven't gotten to it yet.
I don't know if it involves her, but I know there's some stuff about Nienor.
Right.
Anyway.
But this is kind of a love triangle, right?
With Gwyndor
and Finduilas and Túrin.
Right.
Yeah. So, so Túrin basically does not love Finduilas in return.
That's what it would seem. I mean, I'm trying to think. Does it ever actually cover?
Well, it says then Finduilas.
Oh, it says Túrin, son of Húrin, loves me not, nor will. Yeah.
Right. So then, when Orodreth figures out who Túrin really is, he basically he's like, oh, you're Húrin's kid, right? Mm-hmm. And he's likes him. Yeah. And he listens to what he has to say, right? He takes his counsel, right?
Right.
And what Túrin encourages them to do is to build this bridge, right? Like he wants them to like prepare for war, right? And then he wants them to like make this way, like this mighty bridge over the Narog from the doors of Felagund,
right? Basically,
so that they could get their weapons out and attack Morgoth swifter.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is not a good idea. Right? Because, well, up till now, Nargothrond has been like a secret kingdom, right? Kind of like Doriath. Mm-hmm. And so this is obviously, by building the bridge, they're opening up Nargothrond to the evils in the world. Okay. But anyway, Orodreth likes Túrin, and so he listens to him, and they build the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And they prepare for war.
Yeah. Well, they're already going. They kind of take the war already to the servants of Angband, who are all about the land, and they have some success early on. So things do go okay for them.
They do, and they're well enough that tales of their deeds reaches Doriath, right, and Thingol, but they don't know it's Túrin, right, because he's refusing. He's not letting anybody use his real name. Instead, he's being called the Black Sword of Nargothrond.
Right.
Right. So now there's now they kind of switch a little bit, talk a little bit about Morwen.
Well, not yet, right? I'm sorry, they do. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking, I'm jumping a little bit ahead. They mention a little bit about her right here, but not very much. Right. Basically,
Morwen, just to review, is Túrin's mother.
That's right.
Right, and Nienor is his sister, his baby sister.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't know what's happened to them.
Right.
Right.
They make the journey, but they make the journey to Thingol's halls in Doriath.
Yeah.
And she finds Túrin gone, and
so she went there thinking that that's where Túrin was.
Right, but he's gone.
But he's left,
and no one even knows what's happened to him.
Right.
So that's a little bit we find out about her at this moment.
Okay.
And then we get a year. 495 years had passed since the rising of the moon. So this is the 495th year of the first age that we're in right now.
Right.
And then I'm sorry, I'm taking it off.
No, it's fine. But then they get this warning, right?
Mm-hmm.
From these two elves named Gelmir and Arminas.
Right.
And they had been living down south with
Círdan. Yeah.
Awesome. And they come to Ordreath and they basically say, hear the words of the Lord of Waters, aka Ulmo.
Right.
Thus he, Ulmo, spoke to Círdan
the shipwright.
Círdan the shipwright.
Yeah.
The evil of the north has defiled the springs of Sirion, and my power withdraws from the fingers of the flowing waters. But a worse thing is yet to come forth. Say therefore to the Lord of Nargothrond, shut the doors of the fortress and go not abroad. Cast the stones of your pride into the loud river, that the creeping evil might not find the gate. She's basically saying, go into hiding.
Right.
Right. Because there's bad stuff headed your way.
Yeah.
And Ordreath doesn't like he's troubled, right? But Túrin is like, no, we're not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it says, for he, Túrin, was become proud and stern, bless you, and would order all things as he wished. So here we go.
Yeah.
With his pride issues again.
Yeah. I mean, this is really hubris. And, it's interesting to think about, Orodreth being one of the Noldor would have been familiar with the Valar, right?
Yes.
Very familiar, right?
Yes.
And though he would have been a Noldor who rebelled against the Valar, nevertheless they would have had a respect and to be sure, Ulmo was the one that even convinced, who was it? Was it Finrod? To found, I think it was Finrod. He convinced Finrod to found Nargothrond, right? I believe that's who founded it.
Yes.
Let's make sure.
Yes.
Let me double check here.
Sounds right.
It was several chapters ago, so yeah. Ulmo was the one that inspired the founding of Nargothrond, right?
Right.
So, Orodreth, right, being the brother of Finrod, has a very healthy respect for Ulmo's opinion here. Even so, Túrin, I mean, this just goes to show just how great Túrin's stature was for a man, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also interesting that Túrin, being a man, would really not have any frame of reference for the Valar, right?
Yes.
Even though he is an elf, he is an elf friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's grown up among the elves, he has no frame of reference for what the Valar are really like. So, it says that Ordreth was troubled by the dark words of the messengers, but Túrin would by no means hearken to these counsels, and least of all would he suffer the great bridge to be cast down, for he was become proud and stern and would order all things as he wished. He's just like, whatever, I don't care. I don't
know who this Ulmo guy is, and I really don't care what he has to say.
Yeah.
You guys listen to me. But I think it's obviously foolish of Ordreth to listen to Túrin.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I mean, Ordreth could have easily overridden Túrin and been like, look, dude, this is my kingdom.
But again, like, this says something about Túrin again, right? Because he was beloved by Thingol. Here's a man, this Atani, right? One of the second born. First, he's able to endear himself to Thingol, right? Who previously had, been a total man-hater, right?
Yep.
And now here he is, like, he's able to sway the opinions of Ordreth over against Ulmo, who is supposed to be the one Valar that still likes them,
right. Right.
And that, I think that just goes to show how great a figure Túrin is, right?
Yeah.
Like how unique a figure he was.
Yes. I think that's a good point.
It kind of gets me thinking about, and one of the things I had on my list to talk about was like how this story fits into the whole big picture, right? This is one of those stories. It's like, of Miglin, that chapter a while back that we read, where you're kind of like, how does this fit into the overall story of the Silmarils? Because the Silmarils don't even come up, right?
Right.
Kind of like with Miglin, there really is kind of a main thread throughout the whole of the Silmarillion. But like this chapter is one of only a few chapters in the book that don't have to do directly with the struggle to regain the Silmarils.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I don't know that I even have an answer for that.
I mean, it's just something to think about, like what an oddity it really is in the course of the whole story. You might even argue, and one thing we didn't talk about last week, there was actually a book published a few years ago that's like a longer version of this story that Tolkien had written, called The Children of Húrin, which I have not read, but maybe one of these days we'll get to it and come back to it and read the whole story.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a very developed story on Tolkien's part, and so it's possible this is just kind of a story that developed on its own, and he just tried to find a way to fit it back into the overall story of the Silmarillion. Yeah. Since it took place in the First Age. But anyway, but we'll see. So I'm also kind of hinting that yes, it will connect back, and we'll see how it all connects in. Okay. But we don't really see that much in this chapter.
Right.
How it does.
Just so focused on this.
Yeah.
One particular story.
So yeah, Túrin is
he's a very influential character.
Yeah.
He seems like he's able to really throw his weight around when he wants to.
I'm going to suggest, for the sake of time, that we jump ahead to Glaurung here.
I was thinking the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lead on.
Well, let's just mention real quick that Gwyndor is killed. Right.
Right.
So he's dead. This is what I was talking about here. This thing about Finduilas. As Gwyndor is dying, he says to Túrin, Let bearing pay for my bearing, but ill-fated was mine, and vain is thine. For my body is marred beyond healing, and I must leave Middle-earth. And though I love thee, son of Húrin, yet I rue the day that I took thee from the orcs. But for thy prowess and thy pride, still I should have love and life, and Nargothrond should yet stand a while. Now if you love me, leave me. Haste thee to Nargothrond, and save Finduilas. And this last I say to thee, she alone stands between thee and thy doom. If thou fail her, it shall not fail to find thee. Farewell.
There's the prophecy.
There's the prophecy.
Gotcha.
I knew it was in here.
I remember
somewhere.
that. Yeah, I mean, there's just so
I know.
much.
There's just a ton of stuff. All right. So we're learning, basically he's saying, you better go get Finduilas, right? Or you're doomed.
Right.
And so he does. He goes back to Nargothrond, but the orcs beat him there. And Glaurung the dragon.
That's right.
Is unleashed. And Túrin is very brave. I mean, he stands up to the dragon. And uses Gorthang, right, his sword, against him. But those serpent eyes got him. They basically hypnotized Túrin.
Yep.
Right? And he's not able to move.
Interesting. They talk about the lidless eyes of the dragon.
Yes.
Which, it's funny, I don't remember in the recent Hobbit films that Smaug had lidless eyes.
I don't think he did.
But it's kind of crazy to think about the lidless eyes.
That's super creepy.
Like snakes have lidless eyes, right?
Yeah.
Snakes have those eyes that they're always looking, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes eyes extra creepy. It's like to give the eyes of the dragon lids would be to like humanize the dragon a little bit.
That's true.
You know.
Yeah, that's true. So it obviously makes it even scarier and otherworldly, right?
Yeah,
to not have those features,
and you get the sense of how it might be hypnotizing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so he basically Glaurung, basically hurls all kinds of insults at Túrin, and he basically he can't move, he can't talk, he can't do anything, and by the time he is able to move, Finduilas has been captured, along with lots of other women and children.
Right.
And so that doesn't stop him, though, right? He still tries to go after her. Because he knows how important she is.
Right.
If I miss anything important, stop me.
No, you're good.
Okay. In this part, I found a little confusing. So he's on this journey, right? And he's trying. Well, actually, first he goes back to his childhood home. He's looking for his mom and his sister. He goes back there, finds nobody there, and so he goes to this guy Broda the Easterling. Because his wife was Húrin's kinswoman.
Right.
Right, and he basically demands that she tell him, "Where's my mom and sister?" Right, and she basically says,
"Right, this is the place where he left, where Morwen had stayed.
Morwen sent him away from, right?
Yeah.
It's where Morwen had been with Nienor. Okay, gotcha.
And you remember all the trouble with the Easterlings where they were. Because Túrin was gone, and then you had these like
that's right.
Right, you had like the elf friends, the Yadain, you know, who were the men who kind of originally settled in these different regions, like Dorloman, and then you had the Easterlings start to move in, and the Easterlings were bad people, right?
Right. Oh, that's right. Okay.
Right, the Easterlings were, they were turncoats, and they were always looking for chances to take advantage of others.
Yes, okay. So that explains why I killed him.
Right.
Because I was confused by that. I was like, look, she told the truth, right? She told him where his mom and sister were. Why did he kill her husband?
That's right.
I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and so it says, Then Túrin strode to Broda's table, and seizing him he drew his sword, and demanded that he be told whither Morwen had gone. And Iron declared to him that she went to Doriath to seek her son. For the lands were freed then from evil, she said, by the black sword of the south, who now has fallen, they say. Then Túrin's eyes were opened, and the last threads of Glaurung's spell were loosed. And for anguish and wrath at the lies that had deluded him, and hatred of the oppressors of Morwen, a black rage seized him, and he slew Broda in his hall, and other Easterlings that were his guests. So, we get more of a taste of Túrin's wrath here, right? Túrin is he's got some anger issues.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly, I think. But he knows now at least where his mom and sister are. Right. And so he then turns and he's like, all right, well, they're at least in a safe place, right? They're within the Girdle of Melian. They'll be fine for now. Let me go find Finduilas.
Right. So
he goes looking for Finduilas, can't find her, but he comes across these men of Brethil.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell him that she's dead.
Right.
That the orcs killed her. And Túrin goes to where she was buried, and he says, therefore, this is Dorlas. So this Dorlas is one of the guys, is the leader of this group of woodmen from Brethil. And it says, therefore he feared the tidings that Dorlas brought, and when he beheld the face of Túrin as he lay on the bier of a cloud of foreboding, and a cloud of foreboding lay on his heart. Nonetheless, being moved by his woe, he took him into his own house and tended him, for he had skill in healing. So he enters into the house, right, of Dorlas, these woodmen.
Uh-huh.
And they care for him. Right?
I don't know where you are.
Oh, bottom of 216?
Oh, okay. You skipped over the part where Finduilas was dead?
I already said that.
Okay.
I said that they told him that she had been killed.
All right. Good.
And he's very sad.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's...
Let's mess around.
We still have a ways to go.
You're doing good.
Thanks. All right, so anyway, Dorlas takes him into his home.
Right.
And cares for him and heals him. And that's where he stays.
Right.
For a little while.
Yeah. I think let's take a commercial break.
Okay.
All right.
Do it.
We'll be right back.
Don't go away. Hey, Tolkien Roadsters. What's shaking? Greta Carswell here, just getting my groove on to the Tolkien Haiku theme music. Man, that's an awesome song. You know what else is awesome? Feedback on the Tolkien Road on iTunes. Oh yeah, you heard me right. iTunes feedback is one of the best ways you can tell the world about your undying love for this podcast. Because it lets those knuckleheads at Apple know that the Tolkien Road is where it's at. I mean, come on. Why didn't they know that already? Am I right? So next time you're waiting in line to pick up some delicious tacos, surfing the World Wide Web, brushing up on a Tom Bombadil factoid, or keeping it real in whatever way you keep it real, pop on over to iTunes and let the human race know what you think about the Tolkien Road. We're all dying to know, for reals. Party on, y'all. And we're back. And we are still talking of Túrin Turambar.
Mm-hmm.
And we now know that Túrin is hanging out with the Brethil dudes. Or Brethil, how do you say that? The men from Brethil.
Brethil.
And then there's a bit of a scene change.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're back in Doriath with Morwen and Nienor.
Right.
And they hear about all the horrible things that happen in Nargothrond.
Mm-hmm.
And they get worried about Túrin.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Melion tells her not to, Morwen leaves.
When has that ever stopped anybody?
I know, right? Like, I like to think that I would listen to Melion. I mean, she is a Maiar, right?
Yeah.
So I like to think that, I mean, yeah, it's her son. I get that. Other child, I get it totally.
Yeah.
But if a Maiar was telling me not to do something, I like to think I'd listen. But I don't know. She's obviously, Morwen's very emotional. She wants her son.
That's her boy.
Wants her boy, and she goes after him. But even worse is Nienor, his little sister.
Mm-hmm.
Even though she was, told to stay behind, she disguises herself and goes along as well.
Right.
And Mablung. Now, remind me, is Mablung a dwarf?
No, Mablung is an elf.
He's an elf. Okay, he's like in the council of.
He's the chief captain of Thingol.
Oh right. Okay. So Mablung is like, all right, fine. Someone needs to go with her. Right. Mm-hmm. To help her, to make sure she's okay. So they catch up with Morwen, and it says that they're on their way. And they have Mablung set a guard of riders about Morwen and her daughter and forbade them to go further. This was once they had gotten to the Hill of Spies on Ethir. But, of course, he decides to go scouting. Right, and so he goes scouting, and then Glaurung makes an appearance again.
Right.
And basically, there's like this nasty, black, stinky fog.
Mm-hmm. The dragon stench.
Yeah, the dragon stench.
Ew.
I know, that's nasty. And it freaks out the horses. Morwen basically, like, disappears.
Right.
I still not quite sure I'm not quite sure, and nobody knows what happened to her.
Well, yeah, we'll find out what happens to Morwen later in the later chapter.
And Nienor is thrown, but she's not hurt.
Right.
And she meets back up with Mablung. And then Glaurung does his little hypnotizing trick again.
Yeah.
Does it on Nienor.
Read that following paragraph there, and I'm going to show you a cool picture.
Which one? Her will?
Yeah, just the one right after she looks into the eyes.
Oh, okay. Her will strove with him for a while, but he put forth his power, and having learned who she was, he constrained her to gaze into his eyes, and he laid a spell of utter darkness and forgetfulness upon her, so that she could remember nothing that had ever befallen her, nor her own name, nor the name of any other thing, and for many days she could neither hear, nor see, nor stir by her own will. Then Glaurung left her standing alone upon Amon Ethir, and went back to Nargothrond. Now Mablung, who greatly daring had explored the halls of Felagund, so he actually went in, right?
Right.
Mablung went in and looked around. When Glaurung left the halls, he fled from them at the approach of the dragon, and returned to Amon Ethir.
Look at that picture right there.
Ooh. That's creepy.
This is the picture that I have on the second part of the post on this chapter on True Myths.
Wow.
For the Silmarillion Beginner's Guide. And it's a picture of Nienor with Glaurung. And yeah, it's pretty.
That's pretty much how incredible. I pictured it in my head.
Yeah.
Too. You see this little pretty girl and this huge nasty dragon just in this showdown.
Yeah. Well, what I love about this is how long his tail is, and how much he looks like. He just looks like a giant demonic snake.
He does. That's absolutely what he looks like.
Yeah.
And that's what he is.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible picture. It's by Donato Arts. I found it on DeviantArt, but it's the person who made it is Donato Arts, and they've got a lot of really good stuff. I need to check out. We need to try and get this person on. There's a lot of good stuff.
Let's do it.
Man. Donato Arts, whoever you are, you make some good Tolkien art. I will just say that.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, go check out that picture. It's really cool.
It's very, very cool. And so, yeah, so Glaurung basically leaves her hypnotized, almost in the state of stone, right?
Right.
And Mablung, who had been exploring the halls of Felagund, comes back, finds her. They're attacked by orcs, but Nienor escapes.
Mm-hmm.
And she runs and she runs and runs, so she can't hide anymore. And then it gets a little PG-13, I think.
Yeah, she fled as in a madness of fear, swifter than a deer, and tore off all her clothing as she ran until she was naked. As I think about it, what's interesting about this is the thing at the beginning of the chapter where Cyros, the elf, is making fun of Túrin and talking about
how they run in the... Yes!
So it's interesting that, if back on 199, if the men of Hithlum are so wild and fell, of what sort are the women of that land? Do they run like deer, clad only in their hair?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's
cool. So, I don't know if that was intentional on Tolkien's part.
Huh.
It just goes to show, like, Túrin can't win, right?
No.
I mean, he tries to stand up for his for the women folk of his people, and darn it, they just go and do exactly what they were maybe being made fun of for, But it's not like it's really Nienor's fault. I mean, she was just hypnotized by a gigantic
she was crazy.
fire drake, for crying out loud.
And let's be honest, the clothes were probably weighing her down. She needed to run faster. She needed less wind resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she runs and runs until she can't run anymore, and she collapses in the woods. Mm-hmm. And this is how Túrin, who has since changed his name, right? Mm-hmm. To Turambar. What does Turambar mean again?
I believe Master of Doom. Did we already?
That's
go past
right.
that part?
Yeah, I think we might have. We maybe accidentally skipped it.
Well, nice going.
Well, you were supposed to stop me. I'm a newbie, a novice. I'm a rookie. Don't even. Why does he change his name? I can't remember. See, there he's Túrin. Okay, and then he's Túrin, and he's Túrin, and he's Túrin. He's Túrin at Broda's. And... Where does it talk about him changing his name? Because now he's all of a sudden known as Turambar.
Túrin.
I know, it's explained.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I
Top of
see
217. He took therefore a new name, Turambar, which in the High Elven speech signified Master of Doom.
Right. So this is when he was hanging out in Brethil.
Right.
Or with the Brethil guys.
Yeah, this is just after Finduilas had died.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
It means Master of Doom.
Yep.
So it was so I guess he's like, because maybe it was because Finduilas was dead and that meant that his doom was now secure.
Right.
According to that prophecy that Gwyndor made.
Mm-hmm.
And this last I say to thee, she alone stands between thee and thy doom. Mm-hmm. If thou fail her. So he's now like basically embracing.
Yeah, it's an interesting name. It's got it's got a kind of a double meaning to it, right? Because it should be like Master of Doom. You think like that should be like a powerful name.
Yeah.
But in Túrin's case, it's really more of a like he's mastered by Doom, right?
Yeah.
Doom has mastered him.
Right.
So
he's basically embracing.
Yeah.
The fact that he's.
There's an irony. There's an irony to the name.
Yes, there is. Absolutely. And so Nienor collapses in the woods, and that's where Turambar finds her. And he doesn't know who she is. He doesn't recognize her, right? Because when he last left, she was just a baby.
Yeah.
And maybe she wasn't even born yet. Maybe she wasn't even born.
She was born.
Oh, she was born?
Yeah, because if you go back to 199, in the first beginning of the year, Morwen gave birth to her child, the daughter of Túrin, and she named her Nienor, which is mourning. But Túrin and his companions, passing through great perils, came at last to the borders of Doriath.
Okay.
So it would seem it was like right when she was born.
At the same time. Okay.
But he knows he has a sister.
Right. Right.
He knows he does.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that this is her.
Right.
Right. This is she, and she can't talk.
Right.
Right. And she remembers nothing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so he decides to call her Níenel, Tear Maiden. Because she's crying when they find her. And they take her, right? They take her back to the place where they're staying.
Right.
Right, in Brethil. And she's healed. Right? Mm-hmm. And
well, I wouldn't say she's healed, but
well, it says by the
she kind of recovers, but she still
of her sickness,
she still doesn't remember who she is.
Right. She could speak, and she'd been healed of her sickness, but she couldn't remember anything.
Right.
And it says Brandir loved her, but all her heart was given to Turambar.
Yeah. So just like before, where we had Gwyndor and Finduilas, and Finduilas loving Túrin.
Right.
Here we have Brandir loves Níenel, but her heart is given to Túrin. Yeah. Right, to Turambar.
Yep. Love triangle.
Yep.
Number 2.
And little do Níenel and Turambar know that they're really brother and sister.
Right.
Ew.
I know. So unlike the first... love triangle where Túrin had nothing to do with Finduilas. Yeah. Here, he actually falls in love.
Right.
With Níenel.
Right.
And what's interesting is he asks for her hand in marriage, right? But Brandir foreboded he knew not what and sought to restrain her rather for her sake than his own or rival with Turambar.
Brandir just has a bad feeling.
He does have a bad feeling, which is interesting that it makes a point of saying that it really was more for her sake and not his. Because, I mean, it would make sense if you're number 3 in a love triangle that you'd want to try to keep, you wouldn't want that relationship to happen anyway.
Right.
But it's not for his own selfish purposes. It's because he has a bad feeling.
Yep.
And then it says that, and he revealed to her that Turambar was Túrin, son of Hurin, and though she knew not the name, a shadow fell upon her mind.
Right.
So she's a little like, it's vaguely familiar, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
So the only one that's really not starting to get clued in is Turambar at this point. And so 3 years pass, and Turambar asks Níenel again, and basically gives her an ultimatum, right? I'm going to marry you, or else I'm going back to war.
Right.
Not really fair.
Yeah, well, it's kind of how he rolls.
So
he has a way of getting what he wants,
That's a true story. That's well put. So Níenel marries him. My stomach churned a little bit.
Yeah.
I lost my appetite.
Yeah. Well, they don't know.
They don't know. I know.
They don't know.
That's true. They don't know. But then, even though they got married, and then the orcs attack again. And everybody's like, dude, just because you promised your bride you're not going to go fight, now we're getting attacked by orcs. That's not cool.
Right.
Right. So he ends up going out and fighting them, and Glaurung appears again. Right. And Turambar goes out to fight him.
Turambar realizes that he's probably the only one that can take down Glaurung. He basically says they sought his counsel, and he counseled them that it was vain to go against Glaurung with all their force, for only by cunning and good fortune could they defeat him.
Right.
He offered therefore himself to seek the dragon on the borders of the land, and bade the rest of the people to remain at Ethel Brandir, but to prepare for flight. So Turambar decides he's going to go after Glaurung himself.
And he basically asked for people to go with him. Right? And the only one that said he would go was Dorlas, who was the leader of these woodmen, but nobody else. And they gave Brandir a hard time for not coming. But he's a scaredy cat, and so he doesn't come. But somebody goes in his stead. One of his kinsmen goes. So the 3 of them set out.
Right.
And they go to find and defeat Glaurung.
Right.
And I think somebody. Okay.
Well, Dorlas, even though he's all like, oh, I'm gonna go. He's kind of beating his chest about how he's gonna go with Turambar. They get close, and Dorlas decides he's not going anymore.
Right, he wimps out.
Yeah.
So now it's just Turambar and Hunthor.
Yep.
Who's coming in Brandir's stead, and so they keep going, and then this is kind of this is reminiscent of what happened earlier in the chapter too, where somebody's killed by falling into a great river. Right?
Yeah.
Because Hunthor, and the crazy thing is, he didn't even, Hunthor didn't even die fighting Glaurung. Right? They're climbing this cliff to try to sneak up on Glaurung. And it says that Hunthor was slain by a great stone that was dislodged from on high. So I guess in a way he was killed by the dragon, except the stone was like an avalanche caused by the dragon. But he doesn't die in battle with the dragon.
Right. In a way, you could kind of chalk this one up to just more to like the aura, the cloud of bad luck and tragedy that follows Túrin wherever he goes.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, it's just basically his fate for hanging out with Turambar.
It's like people just don't seem to get it. Like don't hang out with Túrin.
It's like that guy's bad news.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite, you know, in the like movie. It's like, come with me if you want to not die.
That's right.
For Turambar, it's like, come with me if you want to die.
It's actually come with me if you want to live.
But no, it's what she says in the movie though. Don't you remember the Lego movie?
Oh, you're talking about the Lego movie.
The Lego movie.
I thought you were talking about what the Lego movie is making fun of there, which is come with me if you want to live, which is from Terminator 2.
Right.
Right.
But I think it's funny that
or it's actually from Terminator and then Terminator 2.
Right. Well, come with me if you want to not die.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, for Turambar, come with me if you want to die.
Right.
You stick out the knot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this.
So poor Hunthor.
Mm-hmm.
He's
darkness, no parents.
He's dead.
Yeah.
So now Turambar all by himself, and he comes upon the dragon, and he thrusts his Gorthong.
But remember, Gorthong is not really his sword. Gorthong was Beleg's sword.
Right.
That he inherited when Beleg died.
That's right. So he thrusts Gorthong into the soft belly of the worm.
Mm-hmm.
And even up to the hilts. But when Glaurung felt his death pang, he screamed, and in his dreadful throe he heaved up his bulk and hurled himself across the chasm, and there lay lashing and coiling in his agony, and he set all in a blaze about him and beat all to ruin till at last his fires died and he lay still. So Turambar defeats Gorthang here.
Yeah.
I mean, defeats Glaurung, sorry.
Right. Glaurung with Gorthang.
Right. Glaurung, Gorthang. Say that 5 times fast. And then
he gloriously guts Glaurung with Gorthang.
Gloriously guts Glaurung. Now that's the makings of a good haiku right there.
That's right.
You need to work that out.
Mm-hmm.
Complete it. I like that.
Yay for me.
That's really good. And then so he defeats Glaurung, and then he starts mocking the dragon.
Right.
He says, "Hail, worm of Morgoth, well met again. Die now, and the darkness have thee. Thus is Túrin, son of Hurin, avenged." So this is kind of like, the last time they met.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of taking Glaurung's words and twisting them.
Yeah.
Right?
Good point.
So, but then, of course, because tragedy follows Turambar, his celebration is short-lived because he reaches in to get his sword, and nasty, poisonous, venomous dragon blood gets on his hand.
You got to figure dragon blood isn't going to be something you want to get on you.
Right. Like, he should have put a glove on first or something. Right. Or just left the sword.
It kind of reminds me of in the Alien movies.
Oh, gross.
Where they've got the the aliens bleed acid.
Yeah.
It like burns through everything.
Yeah, it's kind of like this.
Yeah. Anyway.
He should have put his hazmat suit on before he went in after his sword. But
shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Dang, Túrin, when are you gonna learn?
Left it behind. And Ethel Brethel.
I don't know why he didn't just leave his sword. Do you think it's sentimental value?
Because it's an awesome sword.
It's an awesome sword.
And it just killed Glaurung, and he might need it to kill some more orcs.
He's going to Sword Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he goes to get his sword out, and his hand is burned.
Yeah. By
the dragon. And it hurts really bad. And he basically passes out.
Yeah, I like it that Glaurung opens his eyes one last time and looks upon him with such malice that it smote him as a blow, right?
Yes.
And by that stroke, he opened his eyes, but Glaurung didn't have lids on his eyes.
Oh.
Inconsistency? I don't know.
I think you need to talk to Tolkien about this.
Yeah.
I'll call him. Call him
and ask him about it.
Yeah. I'm surprised the editors didn't pick up on this.
Come on, guys.
Fine-tooth comb, people. Come on.
Yeah, seriously.
Gotta get this stuff straight.
Man, oh man, oh man. How is Peter Jackson supposed to turn this into a movie with that kind of inconsistency?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
is the dragon about eyelids or not? I mean...
Come on.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Maybe
what happened is they like rolled back in his head.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing.
And then they unrolled long enough to strike down Túrin.
Mm-hmm.
So this is literally like almost if looks could kill. This was almost one of those. But it doesn't kill Turambar. It just makes him fall over and fall into a deep sleep.
It just makes him fall over into a river and die. Doesn't actually kill him. It just makes him fall over and off a cliff into a deep river where he breaks his neck and dies. So in a way it does kill him.
In a way it does kill him.
No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't really do it.
It doesn't really kill him. No, it doesn't kill him. And so I guess maybe we failed to mention that before all this happens, Níenel, aka Nienor, didn't sit at home like a good wife waiting for her husband to return from battle. No, she goes after because she can't bear to be at home by herself. Mm-hmm. And so she's off in the woods and she hears all of this going on. She doesn't see any of it, but she hears it. Right?
Right.
And so she's thinking that Turambar, she doesn't know what's going on, but she knows it's not good.
Right.
And so it says that Brandir followed her, right? And he comes up upon her. It says even so he comes upon her, and it says his heart yearned towards Níenel in pity. Yet he thought also, Turambar is dead, but Níenel lives. Oh, good for me. Ha! There goes the third wheel in our triangle, right?
That's right.
Now it may be that she will come with me, and I will lead her away, and so we shall escape from the dragon together. So not only is Turambar dead, but now Brandir can play the shining knight on the white horse, right? Save her. And so after a while, therefore, he stood by Níenel, and he said, "Come, it is time to go. If you will, I will lead you." And he took her hand, and she arose silently and followed him, and in the darkness none saw them go. So they start to leave, and Níenel's like, "Wait a second, are we going the right way?" And then Brandir's like, "I don't know the way, right? We're just running away from the dragon." And so she's basically like, "No, we need to go find my husband. We need to go find the black sword."
Well, she turns and she runs, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was after she said this, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying she goes, yeah.
Yeah, then she goes and she runs.
Just trying to move it along.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So anyway, she goes, she finds the crime scene. Mm-hmm. Right? And she sees the dragon dead, and she sees Turambar laying there, and she assumes he's dead. Right? And she sees his hand. It's all burned, and she heals it with her tears and wraps it in part of her garment.
Right.
And then it says that in his very last breath. So Glaurung's technically not dead yet.
Right.
He's taking a long time to die.
Glaurung keeps acting like he's dead, but he's not really dead. Oh, woe is me! I've been stabbed. Psych.
Wait, let me open my eyes and.
But really, I'm dying. Not.
Okay, now I'm gonna die.
That's right.
For real.
After I say this thing to you.
Wait, I need to say this
which
last
completely
thing.
ruins your life.
And unfortunately, here the bad guy has the last laugh.
Grandma called. She said you need to die. Stop ruining everyone's life.
Ruining everyone's life. Gosh. So it says thereat Glaurung stirred for the last time. You know, it would have been helpful if it had said Glaurung opened his eyes for the first of which will be 3 times. And then we'd know, okay, he's going to pretend not to, he's going to be not dead for at least 3 more times. He's going to do a couple more things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it would have been helpful. He said, and thereupon Glaurung opened his eyes for the first of 3 times. And then we would know that he's not going to die until he does a couple more things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the accountant's version.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So now we know that this is it. Because it actually says this is the last time. This is final. Right?
Seriously,
Glaurung stirred for the last time ere he died, and he spoke with his last breath, saying, Hail, Nienor, daughter of Túrin, we meet again ere the end. I give thee joy that thou hast found thy brother at last, and now thou shalt know him, a stabber in the dark, treacherous to foes, faithless to friends, and a curse unto his kin, Túrin, son of Húrin, but the worst of all his deeds thou shalt feel in thyself.
Oh, snap.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Big time. Because is Nienor pregnant at this point?
Yeah. It said she conceived, yeah.
So we left that out. Sorry, guys.
Well, we got plenty of the ickiness,
I guess that's true.
Picture there, so we didn't need to go into too much more detail.
Yeah. So, and then Glaurung dies, and the veil of his malice was taken from her, and she remembered all the days of her life. Looking down upon Túrin, she cried, Farewell, O twice beloved, a Túrin Turambar, Túrin Ambartanen.
A Túrin Turambar, Túrin Ambartanen.
Nicely said.
Remember, ah.
Oh, ah.
A is ah.
Master of Doom by Doom Mastered.
That's right.
There's
the irony of that
name.
Right.
Yep. Oh, happy to be dead. Then Brondir, who had heard all, standing stricken. You can just see Brondir his jaw hanging open, what?
Yeah.
He's just completely dumbfounded. So he hears everything. He's standing stricken upon the edge of ruin, hastens toward her, but she ran from him, distraught with horror and anguish, and coming to the brink of Kabed and Aras, she cast herself over and was lost in the wild water. Lots of drownings in this chapter.
Yeah.
So Nienor kills herself.
Yeah. I feel like drowning, I was thinking about that, and all the different drownings that happen, and I feel like drowning is like it's like a sign of despair,
Mm-hmm.
It's, you drowning, you casting yourself into the waters and drowning beneath them, right? You're just being overwhelmed and carried away by the waters,
It takes, because it takes some, that's a good point, because you're the despair, because in drowning, it takes, a will to die, right? I mean, of course, if you're caught...
it takes a will to cast oneself.
Right, it does, but then also just to give in.
Mm-hmm.
And just let yourself sink.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think that happens eventually. Even somebody who's fighting not to drown, that will happen eventually, if they don't get the air they need.
Right.
But it's still for people to willingly drown themselves. It takes that
but just also
go.
Water is a symbol of sorrow and tears and everything like that. So I feel like it's a very symbolic death that.
And her name he did name her Níenel, which was Tear Maiden.
Right, Tear Maiden, Níenel.
That's a good point. But you also think about water, you think of baptism, you think of cleansing,
mm-hmm.
right? You think of a freedom too.
And, Nienor's name means mourning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
And what's interesting here is that, so after all this goes down, it says Brondir says he no longer desired life.
Mm-hmm.
But he could not seek death in that roaring water.
Right.
Which means that he was not as bad off
mm-hmm.
as Nienor had been. And thereafter no man looked again upon Kabad and Eris, nor would any beast or bird come there, nor any tree grow, and it was named Kabad Neermarth, the leap of dreadful doom. So, Brondir starts to head back home. He meets up with Dorlas, remember, who had wimped out.
Right.
And he kills Dorlas.
Yep. Shows Dorlas a thing or two.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
I know. And so
remember, Dorlas had given Brondir a hard time about staying behind.
Right.
And so this is a little
gotcha.
payback for
yeah,
Brondir.
It's a little gotcha.
Yeah.
But it says that's the first blood that
mm-hmm.
that ever he had spilled, and the last. And he goes back. He tells everybody, Níenel's gone forever. The dragon is dead, and Turambar is dead, and those tidings are good.
Right.
So he's like, I know it sounds bad, but it's actually good.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. I heard everything that went down.
It was a mess.
It would have been horrible if they
were
still alive. And so they basically were like, what? This guy must be crazy. This makes no sense. Right? And so he basically says, look, he explains it all to them. Right? And, explains that they were actually brother and sister, and Níenel killed herself, and really it was all for the best. And people are sad. And even as they're talking about him being dead, Túrin appears.
Right.
And I think it's his ghost. But he says, nay, be glad, for the dragon is dead, and I live. But wherefore have you scorned my counsel and come into peril? And where is Níenel? For her I would see, and surely you did not bring her from her home. And then Brandir told him that it was so, and Níenel was dead. But the wife of Dorlas cried out, nay, Lord, he is crazed, for he came here saying that you were dead, and he called it good tidings, but you live. So poor Turambar doesn't quite know what to think probably at this point.
Right.
He's getting lots of conflicting reports. And so he calls Brandir Clubfoot, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And he basically thinks Brandir set the whole thing up because he was jealous of their relationship. Then Brandir reported all that he had heard and named Níenor, daughter of Fiorin, and he cried out upon Turambar with the last words of Glaurung that he was a curse unto his kin and to all that harbored him. And so that's basically the final straw.
Right.
For Túrin Turambar. Why don't you bring us home?
Well, okay. So did you talk about the part where he kills Brandir?
No, I was about to get there.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Túrin kills Brandir, curses him, and slays him, and he fled from the people into the woods. But then his madness leaves him, and he comes to Halth and Elith, and there sat and pondered all his deeds, and he cried upon Finduilas to bring him counsel, for he knew not whether he would do now more ill to go to Doriath to seek his kin, or to forsake them forever and seek death in battle. Moblung comes along from Doriath, of course, and so this, in a way, his prayer is answered. Hails him, and he basically says, turns out it sounds like they're looking for Glaurung to maybe go after him themselves, and he says, "You're too late. I got him." And then Túrin says back, "Just tell me what's going on with my kin. I learned they went to the Hidden Kingdom." And he tells him, and Moblung tells him that Morwen was lost, and Nienor cast into a spell of dumb forgetfulness, and how she had escaped. She escaped them upon the borders of Doriath and fled northwards. And Túrin finally sees it all and understands what it was, and that he had slain Brandir unjustly, so that the words of Glaurung were fulfilled in him.
So Brandir, he realizes through Moblung that Brandir was telling the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
He bade Moblung go and return to Doriath with curses upon it. "And a curse too upon your errand," he cried. "This only was wanting. Now comes the night." And at that point, he draws Gorthong, and a madness seizes him again as he thinks about all of this, and he draws Gorthong. He says, "Hail, Gorthong! No lord or loyalty dost thou know, save the hand that wieldeth thee. From no blood wilt thou shrink. Wilt thou therefore take Túrin Turambar? Wilt thou slay me swiftly?" And it says, "And from the blade rang a cold voice in answer, Yea, I will drink thy blood gladly, that so I may forget the blood of Beleg my master, and the blood of Brandir slain unjustly. I will slay thee swiftly."
Ugh, so creepy. It's like a sword. Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? Why is the sword out to get him? I mean, I know it was made by Eöl, right? The Dark Elf, the father of Maiglin. So in a way, it comes from someone who's kind of a dark figure and kind of a cursed figure in a way too.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. It's just strange to me that this sword is like alive in some way. You know, it almost seems like something that Morgoth would have devised, but we know he didn't. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's Yeah, that part was very baffling to me. I'm not quite sure what the rationale behind that is. Or maybe because it says, so that I will forget the blood of Beleg, my master. So it's almost like maybe by Túrin using it to kill Beleg, it was cursed in some way.
Yeah, I guess that's possible.
Or at least the fact that Túrin took it as his own, cursed it. That was enough to curse it. Yeah, I don't know, it's weird. But it was weird to me too that so first the sword talks in a cold voice, and then when Túrin falls on it, it breaks. Right. It falls to pieces. Which is obviously it's got to be symbolic, because metal doesn't shatter, especially a sword that was forged, like that one. You know what I mean? So what do you think about that? About the sword breaking? It always reminds you of the veil being torn in two, right? The crucifixion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to make of it. It just seems like it's a cursed object for some reason. I'm trying to go back to and figure out where it got renamed Gorthong from. The original name it gives it: Iron of Death, name of Beleg's sword on Glaurung after it was reforged for Túrin and Nargothrond, and from which he was named Morwen Nienor. Let's see, on Glaurung. I'm looking in the index, by the way, just to get a picture of all these names. On Glaurung, the sword made from meteoric iron that Thingol received from Eol, and which he gave to Beleg after its reforging for Túrin, named Gorthong. So, yeah, it's reforged in Nargothrond, and it becomes something new, and that's when it becomes Gorthong. And it's with Túrin as he does, he's kind of this warrior that's killing all these different things. It's got so much blood upon it.
Yes, okay.
So I don't know. It would just seem that it's cursed in a way. We don't know what Eol did to it, but he did something. He did something to give it, to make it something. It's a sword that
make it a dark object.
Eventually comes back to hurt the person who possesses it. Anyway,
kind of a.
So Túrin is gone.
Yeah.
And
they bury him.
They lifted up Túrin and found that Gorthong had broken asunder, but elves and men gathered their great store of wood, and they made a mighty burning, and the dragon was consumed to ashes. Túrin they laid in a high mound where he had fallen, and the shards of Gorthang were laid beside him. And when all was done, the elves sang a lament for the children of Húrin, and a great grey stone was set upon the mound, and thereon was carven in runes of Doriath, Túrin Turambar, Dagnir Glaurung. And beneath they wrote also, Nienor Níenel. But she was not there, nor was it ever known whither the cold waters of Tyglen had taken her.
So what's on that stone, Túrin Turambar, Dagnir Glaurung? Is that basically saying he?
I think it's like Slayer of Glaurung. Or I think Dog has something to do with like battle or something like that.
Oh right, that would make sense. Yeah. It's a pretty depressing ending.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too. I was just thinking about, how we've kind of been talking about this and comparing it, contrasting it with where at least mentioned it, kind of within the context of the Beren and Luthien story. How the Beren and Luthien tale is just this really ends on such a happy note, right? And this one obviously kind of the opposite, right? Theirs was there was a beautiful love story in every sense of the word, and this one was tragic, right, in every sense of the word. So it's just interesting, the juxtaposition.
Yeah, this is a puzzling story. You know, like, why does... It's obvious that Túrin has some pride issues on one hand, but also just a lot of really bad stuff happens to him.
Really bad luck, yeah.
You know?
Like he's cursed.
Yeah. You know, so it's not... There are no easy answers with this story about why all this bad stuff happens to him. Yeah, you know...
Except that, I mean, a curse was put on his family.
It's true. I mean, except just the influence of Morgoth. But Morgoth never really enters into the story actively, other than to say that... maybe we'll find out a little more in the coming chapters, but other than just to say that Morgoth was doing something to Húrin, right? Was trying to, had placed this curse upon Húrin and his family. So.
Yeah, I mean, in one sense, I can't. I was even thinking about it, like how do I feel about Túrin Turambar? So I know I left like where we left off this last time. I was just thought he was just a completely selfish, prideful, full of himself guy who is basically got what was coming to him.
Yeah.
Right? But now after finishing the story, I'm like, I don't know. You know, I mean, yeah, like you said, he has pride issues and he made some bad choices along the way. But I think most of the time his intentions were good.
Right.
And a lot of the bad stuff that happened to him really was just, either a comedy of errors or just bad luck. And it's hard, it's hard not to feel sorry for somebody.
Yeah.
In that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's, in a sense, the classic definition of a tragic figure. A tragic
he really
hero.
Is. Yeah. I'm glad that Josh mentioned that in his haiku, because that's a perfect description. Yeah,
like a tragic heroes are never, it's never so clear cut with them that like they're, that they're bad. They make bad decisions at different times, and they have character flaws. But they also have really bad things happen to them, and it almost seems like they can't escape from their fate.
That's right.
You go back to the story that Tolkien himself cited in with Sophocles, talking, where he was basically citing Oedipus Rex. And Oedipus has some issues. He makes some bad decisions along the way, but he also just seems fated for the bad things that happen to him.
Yes.
At the same time. You think of somebody like Hamlet from Shakespeare, another tragic hero, right? Makes some bad decisions, but not a completely, not a figure that's just completely without merit. Like he's got a lot of good qualities,
right?
As does Túrin, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Túrin risks his own life to protect the woodsman by going after Glaurung himself, right?
Those were people that he could have gotten away with not. Going after the dragon for. It's not like they were his kinfolk.
Yes.
So, yeah, you're right. I think he was definitely as selfish and prideful as he was. I think he also had some really great moments of selflessness.
Yeah.
And humility mixed in. So, it was a good read though. I enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't like the ending, but
I think it'll be interesting to go and read Lord of the Rings now here soon, and also a Calabaith, and consider men and their plight in this world of Middle Earth. We talk about when we get to like Gondor in the Third Age, talking about them and the different figures of Gondor.
Yes.
And when you think about like Denethor, and like the way he despairs when he thinks that the war against Sauron is lost, and or even Boromir, right, who wants to capture, wants to take the ring, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to like go back and think about how Túrin, can Túrin illuminate those stories for us a little bit? Can the story of Túrin illuminate those stories for us to some degree? So.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Thanks for letting me take the reins on this one.
Yeah, well, good job. It's harder than it looks, isn't it?
It is, because I have much greater appreciation for what you do every week.
Yeah, you go into it and you're like, all right, I got a pretty good feel for this, but then some of these chapters, there's just so much stuff that happens, you're like, you got to kind of map it out beforehand, so you're like, what was it okay to skip over when I'm talking about it?
So I'm sorry this episode was longer. It was my fault.
No, you did well. You did well.
Oh, well, thank you.
Everybody go give us 5 stars on iTunes just so Greta feels better,
Please.
About how we did. So, well, you know what's cool? We are officially on the home stretch.
I know. We only got 3 chapters left.
We have 3 chapters left, but the length of those chapters together is less than the entire of Túrin Turambar chapter.
Wow.
Yeah, so like chapter 22 of the Rune of Doriath is, it's about 10 pages, and then Fall of Gondolin is like 7 pages, and then the Voyage of Arundel is 9 pages. So
wow.
Yeah.
About 25 in all. No,
26 somewhere there. Yeah. So we're done with the Túrin Turambar.
We did it.
So things are gonna move fast to the end of the first age for us now. Over the next 3 chapters. So
buckle your seatbelts.
Buckle your seatbelts. That's right.
Thanks for listening.
And listen to the safety patrol. They will guide you home to the right way.
That too.
Get you on the right school bus.
Yes.
As they wear their magnificent blue belt or orange belts across their chests.
You know it.
Yeah.
Cool kids.
Right, with their badges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Safety patrol. I don't know why that came up.
I think this has gone on long enough.
All right. Next time, chapter 22 of the Rune of Doriath. Talk at you later.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Please remember to check out truemyths.org for show notes and plenty of other Tolkien goodness. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, would you please leave the Tolkien Road a rating and feedback on iTunes? It's a great way to support the show and takes less than a minute. On the next episode, we'll move on to chapter 22 of the Ruin of Doriath. Thanks for listening, and until next time, the road goes ever on.